There are two main ways I like to make omelets on the griddle, with an egg ring like this metal one I got off Amazon, or what I would call a diner style omelet like this guy. Both ways work fine, and the most important thing isn't what style, but what temperature. I always do my omelets between 300 and 325 degrees. That way they don't burn on the outside before I get a chance to fold or flip. These are both 3-egg diner-style omelets with a half a cup of filling. That's just diced ham, peppers, and onions. You can use more filling, but it becomes hard to fold if you use too much. Also, with your filling, try your best to dice it up pretty small. Large pieces are more likely to break the omelet. After I saute up the meat and veggies, I will clean that spot, then check my temp. I'm just above 300, perfect. Then I'm going to place down some butter to cook the eggs in. The water not only cleans up the proteins from the ham, preventing it from being brown, but it can also lower your temp if need be. I'm not making other food with these, but if you were making like potatoes or something, your griddle may be too hot, so use the water to lower your temperature. Once the butter is all melted, I'll slowly pour my eggs. Ideally, you'd want a rectangular shape, but don't worry if you don't get that, you get something weird like I got. I'm going to show you how to fold them and still make it into a decent looking omelet. Add my salt and pepper, then the filling, and finally some American cheese. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've actually switched from 2 pieces of cheese to 1 piece in more recent cooks. I just feel like 2 pieces of cheese was overpowering the omelet and all the other flavors. 20-year-old me wouldn't even believe the words coming out of my mouth right now. Less cheese, blasphemy. You old man, get out of here. The eggs sat for 2.5 minutes at 310 degrees before I started folding. You could probably wait 3 minutes if you wanted. Now, whichever way looks longer, you fold that first, and then that becomes the top of your omelet. In this case, the omelet went more vertically, so I'll fold the top and bottom first. I know it still looks a little uncooked on the inside, but the hot filling and folding it up will continue to cook the inside of the eggs as they continue to set up. Your goal with the first fold is to make it the length of your spatula, your longest spatula, so about 6 inches or so. Now you fold it over a few times and you got yourself an omelet. If you really want to make sure the middle cooked all the way, you could slide your spatula under it and set it in the corner of the griddle to keep cooking, but I just put mine on the plate. It's ready to go. The next one is a 3-egg and half a cup of filling omelet as well. So same measurements as the first, but I'm using oil on this one and pouring it straight onto the filling, the eggs going on the filling. As for oil versus butter, that's just a taste preference. Both will work for either method just fine. The plus side of pouring it straight onto the veggies is that it will kind of contain the eggs and prevent them from going everywhere. This one looks way more like an actual rectangle than the other one. Go ahead and add our cheese here. The downside of doing it this way is that I feel like it's more likely to rip on you like this one did to me. Don't get me wrong, you just keep folding and try to hide it, but it does seem to rip a lot this way. Also, the outside of the egg tends to brown or be dirtier, as some people would say in the breakfast diner world, dirty eggs. The sticking in the brown, I believe, is from the proteins cooking out of the meat, like I said earlier, and then pouring the eggs right on there. I don't know, though. I'm not a scientist. Don't take my word on that for sure. It's just what I've heard. Both turned out well, though, and were both eaten pretty quickly, so they taste great. But what about 2 eggs instead of 3 for this style? Well, you can see I did that here. The top is 2, and the bottom of your screen is 3. Getting poured right on the filling again. They both still ripped a bit when I folded them, but the 2-egg one ripped less. Here's a 2-egg and 3-egg omelet, not pouring it in the filling, and neither one of them ripped. That's 3 eggs on the left and 2 eggs on the right. The one on the left is mushroom, spinach, and Swiss. That's one of my favorites. I actually put whole grain mustard on top of it. I know that's weird, but I like mustard with Swiss. What can I say? And for my wife, the one on the right is 2 eggs, and I did a chive and onion Philadelphia cream cheese filling. Getting real fancy with it, Clark. Don't worry, once you fold up the cream cheese, it will melt a bit and spread out. On top of it, I put her favorite salt and vinegar chips. I stole this from the TV show The Bear. The inside is soft and creamy, then the chips give it a salty crunch. Something different and fun, maybe a little bit trashy. Now it's not fancy anymore. My wife was like, "Are you really going to show this on the internet?" And I was like, you bet I am. You know who you married. This ain't gourmet, it's just griddling. Hash browns for me, frozen red skin potatoes for her. My suggestion with the diner omelet is to pour the eggs by themselves, then add your filling. And I would start with a 2-egg rather than 3-egg omelet if you're new to griddling. Now the egg rings. If you're using a metal egg ring, I would suggest letting it preheat with the griddle. This will help the eggs to not stick. As for the silicone egg rings, you probably can just throw them down whenever. I don't know if preheating will help. This will be another 2-egg omelet as they are easier inside the 8-inch ring. I did about 3/4 cup of filling this time. Instead of ham, we also went with some chopped bacon because why not? Again, we're a little high on temperature and there's too much bacon drippings on there. So I'm going to wipe it down, squirt some water, lower the temp, and hopefully prevent sticking and browning. Butter inside the omelet ring. Try to move the ring around and get some of that butter on the sides to also help prevent sticking. Then pour your eggs slowly. Let them set up for 2 to 3 minutes and then add your filling. Or if you want, you can wait all the way until the end, flip the eggs, and kind of just stuff your omelet and then fold it there. But if you do it this way, I like to add my filling to one side, the bacon and peppers and onions, then my cheese, which is Monterey Jack, by the way, to the other side. And then I'm going to flip the cheese side because it will weigh a little less and be less likely to break. If you can, try to save a little bit of cheese and filling for the top, just to make it look pretty. And if you do different omelets, you'll know which is which. Final thoughts, the 2-egg omelets are easier than the 3, so start there. A 1/2 cup of filling and 1 slice of cheese will also make it less likely to break, but feel free to try 3/4 cup of filling and 2 slices of cheese if you like to live dangerously. I do like the egg ring a little better because it holds it all in one particular place and doesn't take up too much space on your griddle. But if you don't have one, you don't have to run out and buy one. Just try the diner style and, just definitely fill it at the end though, rather than pouring the eggs onto the filling because I just felt like that really kept ripping on me. Also, try to dice up your filling, your veggies, and your meat the best you can, pretty small. Large chunks are going to be way more likely to break. But Johnny, I live in the real world with a wife and kids. I'm not just making one single omelet at the time on the griddle. I need 2 omelets, potatoes, Mickey Mouse pancakes. How do I do that? Well, I'm glad you asked, friend, because I got that video on your screen right now, so give it a watch.